Hello, boo. Just kidding. And welcome everyone to yet another weekly walk, part of our weekly walk series here at the Central Park Conservancy. It is spooky season or fall foliage season. So today on our weekly walk, lake views of the West Side, today on October 25th, 2023, we're going to be exploring different fall foliage viewing spots. Hopefully get some nice fall foliage colors. And we're getting into the spooky vibes and into the autumnal vibes. So definitely grab a hot chocolate or any type of hot drink as we walk through and view some very nice scenes of fall foliage. And I just needed y'all to see that I was in the spirit, essentially. But with that, let us get started, shall we? So, of course, as we know, we have our Zoom housekeeping, all right, where we have a Q&A feature. We have Jose on the back end today to answer any and all of your questions. So again, if you have a question, use the Q&A chat box. Then we have the regular chat box where you could say, hello, how are you doing? And you could also turn off the chat using the arrow directly beside it and turning off chat previews, right? And finally, we have the CC live transcript, which you could also turn off using the arrow that sits right beside it. And we know our mission statements. The Central Park Conservancy is dedicated to preserving and celebrating Central Park as a sanctuary for the pace and pressures of city life, enhance the enjoyment and well-being for all, and especially on a day like today where we're going to have a nice cozy walk with some nice cozy fall vibes, enjoying some scenes of foliage that we can catch glimpses of around Central Park. And today we're going to be entering from East 67th Street and we're going to be ending around West 78th Street. So we're taking a nice little scenic walk across town as we can see what types of foliage we could view by the very famous lake. And with that, we are entering right here on East 67th Street, and we are going to be zooming right past Billy Johnson Playground. We get to this little intersection, and I definitely wanted to highlight not only this street performer here, but another very scenic area where you could catch some fall foliage. Over here in the background, that's going to be none other than the Dean Slope, which is one of the Central Park natural meadows, one of the native meadows that we feature lots of different native plantings. So definitely come check out the Dean Slope the next time you are visiting Central Park. All right, and right beside that path, we're going to be on our first stop for today, one of the most beloved statues in all of Central Park. Of course, I'm talking about none other than Balto. So let's get a closer look at the goodest boy of Central Park. And of course, this is going to be the hero sled dog that essentially stopped a diphtheria outbreak that was happening in Nome, Alaska by carrying a cure a bunch of miles to where it needed to be in Nome, Alaska, basically stopping that diphtheria outbreak overnight. And something else I really like noting is that Balto is the only figure to be present at his statue's unveiling ceremony. So shout out to Balto, goodest boy of Central Park, and definitely stop by during this fall to see what types of foliage you could catch right behind him and those trees right behind him. And here's just a plaque on a rock. We don't see that many plaques on rocks, but for people that donate significant amounts of money to help restore certain areas of the park, we get to see that. So this plaque just says endowed by Karen and Richard LaFlack. And with that, we are going to go straight through Willowdale Arch. And as we explore our next parts of the park, we're going to be exploring the formal area of Central Park, and that is going to be the mall. So the mall is going to be the only intentionally straight path in all of Central Park, and it's also characterized by these American elm trees that actually line the mall. So hopefully during our walk, we'll catch some glimpses of their very iconic fall foliage colors. And here we are. I just wanted to zoom in on one of these beautiful American elm trees that are cared for by the Conservancy. And we are seeing some little peaks of the golden hue that the American elm trees normally get. So those nice golden yellow fall colors are what's to be expected from these American elm trees. So definitely check out the mall on your next visit. And as we make it a little bit farther down the path, we're seeing that some of these trees actually have a lot more foliage colors. Also, just to keep in mind, these pictures were taken about a week and a half ago. So if you turn up to the park tomorrow, there's a huge chance we're going to be seeing a lot more fall foliage colors than what's actually in this presentation. But as I was zooming down the mall, I had to take a little stop at the Naumburg Band Show because it seems on the day that I was taking these pictures, we have a nice little performance from a little punk rock band that I ended up finding out their name is actually called Bend. And they were doing a nice little performance here at the Naumburg Band Show. Very nice to see that even after the summer season, we're still having a lot of these live music performances for all ages to enjoy. So a huge shout out to Bend NYC, like Bend Over NYC, playing those amazing punk rock jams and um, giving everybody a nice free musical performance. And with that, on this very picturesque day, we're going to be zooming off to our next destination for today. And again, we're just seeing some of these nice iconic fall foliage colors, the golds, the yellows, all these different pigments in our beautiful elm trees, more towards the Bethesda Terrace area. And also, if I look across from me where I was standing at the band shell, we do have these nice, beautiful sugar maples here. And again, these pictures were taken about over a week ago. So now next time you turn up to the mall, definitely check out these very iconic sugar maples, giving us some other nice fall foliage colors, some red and orange hues. And here we are at the top of Bethesda Terrace, but we are going to be zooming right over to the most iconic sign. And I was lucky enough on this day when I was visiting Bethesda Terrace to find a nice picturesque scene right here. So there were some sun showers going on as I took this little walk, and I was graced with none other than this beautiful, glorious rainbow. So it is looking quite picturesque and also quite busy in Bethesda Terrace as it normally does. And we're definitely seeing in the background the area that we're primarily going to be focusing on today. And that's going to be none other than the lake. So I'm sure all those boaters that were getting these nice views of this rainbow were certainly enjoying their day. But yes, the overcast with the sun shower makes it a quite perfect storm for a literal beautiful rainbow. And essentially, it is perfectly overlooking the Angel of the Waters fountain, as we see here. And I personally would like to think that Emma Stebbins, who was the creator and the first woman to accept a public arts project in New York City, I would like to think that Emma Stebbins is smiling down on Bethesda Terrace on this day, giving us these nice little picturesque views and scenes. But if you are more interested in learning more about the history and the beautiful art and architecture right in the heart of the park, Bethesda Terrace, you could definitely check out our YouTube channel. So we have a YouTube channel where we post all of our weekly walks, including this one that I'm doing right now. So definitely check out some of our previous weekly walks that we did on Bethesda Terrace if you want to know more about its history. All right. And this is going to be our final picture, again, beautifully framing the Angel of the Waters fountain, also known as the Bethesda Fountain, on this extremely picturesque day throughout Central Park. So definitely check out that YouTube channel. There is going to be a link in the chat for you to see all of our previous weekly walks, and you can learn more about Bethesda Terrace as well. All right, I was very lucky on this day. Hopefully you'll be as lucky to get a rainbow when you visit as well. And here we are at the lake. This is going to be our largest naturalistic water body. And that just means that it is human-made and human-constructed. And currently we are at Bethesda Terrace, so we're directly facing the Low Boathouse, which is going to be responsible for all these different boaters enjoying this nice picturesque day on the lake. And yes, the Low Boathouse is still open and still providing boating services for as long as the weather stays nice. That is what we were told. So definitely check out the Low Boathouse on your next visit. And with that, we're going to be moving away from the formal section of the park to enjoy some more beauty in nature, because this is supposed to be about fall foliage, right? So let us go to our next destination. We are making our way up this path as we are going towards the west side of the lake. You'll want to go right underneath the path that is going to be right by a willow tree. And we are getting some of our first glimpses of the lake. And we are going to be directly looking at some trees that are along the ramble. So that ramble is going to be one of our 3 woodlands here in Central Park. So definitely on your next time, you can check out the ramble. Hopefully you'll be seeing a little bit more fall foliage colors than I am here currently. And what you want to do is make this hard left right at Bow Bridge. And we are going to be on the beautiful west side of the lake, getting some nice views of the Upper West Side and these 2 twin buildings that are known as the San Remo buildings. And of course, we're getting Bow Bridge looking as picturesque as ever. I greatly enjoy taking pictures throughout Central Park of all the various landscapes and things of that nature. So I greatly enjoy this picture that I took right here that's framing Bow Bridge. We have some views of the ramble, and we have some nice views of the Upper West Side. Working on my photography skills. If any of y'all are interested, you could definitely email me at Desiree.Rodriguez@CentralParkNYC if anybody would like some of this photography prowess. And as I was walking along the west side of the lake, I saw another plaque that was recognizing the people that helped in the restoration of this side of the lake as well. Again, the only time we're going to see plaques on rocks is if they gave a significant donation, helping restore certain areas. So this plaque says, in grateful recognition of the support from Lenny and Peter May for the historic restoration of the island. And we are going to continue our western views of the lake. We could see some nice boaters. We still have some nice picturesque views of the Upper West Side, and we have some geese that are telling us a nice hello as well. But I'm sure by this time, on October 25th, the last week of October and early November, we're going to be seeing even more beautiful fall foliage colors that essentially the fall is so beloved and well known for having. And over here is where we're going to be exploring for the remainder of our walk. So the lake being the largest naturalistic water body, in the original design actually had these boat landings. So these boat landings that are all around the lake that were in the original design as envisioned by Frederick Law Olmsted, originally were made for the boaters of the lake to actually get off these various boat landings. We've got 1, we've got 2, and we've got 3. That's going to be the ladies' pavilion. And these are going to be some of these boat landings that I was talking about. But originally it was made for the boaters to actually get off of these boat landings and enjoy some nice views of different areas of the park and to get nice point of views of the lake as well. No longer are you allowed to actually use the boat landings as you're boating, but if you are walking around the lake, you could definitely take a moment to stop and enjoy some of the picturesque views that the lake has to behold. So for the remainder of this walk, we're going to be walking around until we get to Ladies Pavilion, and we're going to be ending at Oak Bridge for today. So we're currently at the bottom of Cherry Hill, but instead of taking this paved path, I decided to take the path that is closest to the lake, and that is going to be this path here on the left, known as Wagner Cove. So let's take a look-see As we're seeing, it's not a paved path, it's a lot more natural, and we're surrounded by some beautiful floral entities, some nice plants and trees to help us on our journey of searching for that coveted fall foliage. And as I was walking along the path of Wagner Cove, I was stopped by a little friend here. So this is going to be none other than a female cardinal. So cardinals are residents of New York City. These birds are residents of New York City, and they are normally characterized by those iconic red feathers. However, did you know that it's primarily the male birds that are going to have more of the more vibrant feathers and more vibrant plumage on them? So this female cardinal, I can tell that she's a female cardinal because of that very iconic orange triangular beak that she has to help her eat different things like seeds and nuts. So a nice little friend stopped by, and also a reminder that we do not need to feed any wildlife anywhere in Central Park, all right? Because every single piece of wildlife has everything that they could ever need. And that's why this cardinal was just saying a quick hello as I was on my journey through Wagner Cove. And here we are getting some very nice picturesque views again from the west sides of the lake. And we could see some of those rustic structures that I was pointing out earlier, those boat landings. And we could even get a tiny little glimpse of where we're going to end, which is going to be Oak Bridge for today. So I definitely enjoy taking these smaller paths that look a lot more natural. They help me get better views of the lake since they are the closest to the lake. And also it helps me escape from whatever might be going on in the city because all these nice little trees and bushes almost perfectly block all of the outside of the city. And we're getting a glimpse of a little hidden boat landing or hidden structure that we actually weren't able to see. And when I originally actually pointed out those different boat landings, various structures, so let's take a closer look. So this is going to be, again, we're going to be sitting or standing right by Wagner Cove. So Wagner Cove is actually going to be named off of one of the former New York City mayors, but I definitely enjoy this little desolate, isolated space that is Wagner Cove and this very rustic looking boat landing structure because it is easily missed. So definitely it's a nice place to stop and take maybe a mindfulness moment and take your mind away from all that might be going on in your life and the different paces and pressures of the city. So taking a little closer look, it's definitely looking a lot more rustic than the other boat landings that we're going to be able to see today, but still very beautiful nonetheless. And right next to or at the end of Wagner Cove, we have this nice little plaque that's informing us what Wagner Cove is and who it's actually named after. It says that essentially the plaque is telling us that it's going to be dedicated to Robert F. Wagner, who was the former mayor of New York City, who was serving during 1954 to 1965. That's when he was serving his terms. It says his friends lovingly dedicate Wagner Cove to honor this important New Yorker whose leadership brought so many vital changes to our city and its history. May this serene cove provide a haven for the tranquility and inspiration. And this was put in September 8th of 1993. So definitely a very lesser known spot here in Central Park, but I highly recommend checking out Wagner Cove, especially during this beautiful fall season. And with that, we are going to be continuing to make our way around these various boat landings to see what other snippets and glimpses of foliage we could actually find. And here we are. Wagner Cove is going to let you off right at the top of what's known as Cherry Hill. And this is going to be known as the Cherry Hill Fountain. But let us zoom down the path down Cherry Hill. And we are actually seeing where we just came from. We could see Wagner Cove and that nice boat landing structure that we actually just came from. So we are going to be continuing down the path, wrapping straight around the west side of the lake. And here I got this very nice picturesque view that's giving us some glimpses of the foliage. So this is going to be taken in the later hours of the day when the sun is actually setting, but it is looking especially beautiful. So even though we are on the west side of the lake, we are now facing the Ramble, which is why we're not going to see many buildings or anything like that, because the Ramble is going to be almost in the middle of the park, not towards the edge. But I definitely enjoy this nice little picturesque scene and how brilliantly not only the light is bouncing off these nice trees and plants, but how it also beautifully reflects off of the lake. Again, I could definitely transport myself somewhere, maybe upstate in the Catskills or perhaps Adirondack Mountains, instead of the center of New York City, as I'm taking this nice walk around the lake, especially with this view that has no buildings in sight. And we're going to continue down this path and zoom right underneath this little rustic structure right here. And it seems like that on the day I was taking these pictures that someone is actually giving out some free haircuts. How nice of them. And we are approaching our second boat landing for today. And here we are at the nice picturesque formal structure, one of the original boat landings that were restored by the Conservancy. We're seeing that this structure is looking a lot more formal in nature, and it's also looking like it's twice the size of that first boat structure that we saw at Wagner Cove. And we're also getting some nice lookout points to none other than Bow Bridge, which we actually just came from. And Bow Bridge, of course, is going to be one of the last 5 cast iron bridges that we have in Central Park. And then I decided to take again this natural looking path that wraps directly right beside the lake. And here we are with some more picturesque views of the Ramble and the ever so beautiful and ornamental Bow Bridge. I highly encourage you guys to take more of the naturalistic paths instead of the paved paths. And here we are getting a view of actually where we're going. You can see that the ladies pavilion is inching up closer and closer to our sites. And again, we're going to be ending right here by Oak Bridge. And then after that natural path, I had to come back up on the path directly next to the road. And we are making our way to yet another boat landing structure. So this is going to be another one of those boat landing structures that we're viewing that sit all around side the lake. And again, it's a very nice picturesque place to actually enjoy some fall foliage. They even have benches at each of the boat landings for you to enjoy a nice little seat and a nice little stop as you take a minute to stop and appreciate all the nature that lies around you. From the beauty and the views of the lake, the reflections, and maybe the juxtaposition of the buildings, that nice midtown skyline, or maybe you want to focus more on all the different trees and the beautiful greenery that surrounds you. But definitely any one of these boat landings would be a perfect place to do some leaf peeking and spot some nice, beautiful fall foliage. And again, I chose to take a path that's going to be directly next to the lake, that is going to be a little bit more down, but still beside our boat landing. And we see a nice little goose there. And as I made my way up that nice natural looking stone paved path, I have made it to the ladies' pavilion. Very gorgeous and beautiful indeed, but it does seem that there is some sort of event or photo shoot taking place. You would have to have a permit to be able to rent out this space and be able to actually have a nice photo shoot there. And you could definitely find out more information if you go on our site and you look at the film and photo request form, because that would be the only way that you could have a nice little event or nice little photo shoots in the very glorious looking ladies pavilion, nicely restored by the Central Park Conservancy. And with that, we are already nearing the end of our walk. We made our way from the east side, and we are about to end shortly by Oak Bridge, making our way from the ladies' pavilion. But right before I left the ladies' pavilion, I was graced by another very brilliant sight. Seems as though I have accidentally or maybe purposefully also went birding during this walk. We saw a nice little female cardinal earlier on our walk, nice resident of New York City. But today I was also graced by this beautiful ruby-crowned kinglet. This is going to be a ruby-crowned kinglet, and it was a very nice sighting because this is actually a migratory bird. So essentially, it is supposed to be the end of bird migration season, but you'll see that due to climate change and lots of other factors that are going on, we're seeing that bird migration season has been a little bit extended longer, and that some of these migratory birds are choosing to stick around a little bit longer while the weather remains nice. So this little female ruby-crowned kinglet just was saying hello to me as I was enjoying some nice views right by the lake and right by the ladies' pavilion. So hopefully the next time you venture out to the park, keep your eyes and ears open. So maybe you could also be graced by some of these beautiful migratory bird species or even some of our state residents. It's always nice to see some friendly wildlife and a friendly bird, essentially perking up my day, making it more interesting. But again, we don't need to feed any of our wildlife. They have everything they could ever need right here in Central Park. And with that, we're going to continue on this path that's directly beside the road to get to our final destination for today. And right before we reach our final destination for today, I saw this nice sign that's reminding us of where we're actually going. So essentially, this sign is telling you that we're about to enter one of Central Park's woodlands, which means that dogs must be leashed at all times in all of the various Central Park's woodlands. It's for your safety, the wildlife safety, and the dog's safety as well. So here we are at our last destination for today. I can't believe how fast we've actually gotten here. So this is none other than Oak Bridge. Again, going to be newly restored by the Central Park Conservancy, and it's going to be one of the places you can enter the Ramble. We have Bow Bridge that we actually saw a little bit earlier, and then we have Oak Bridge, another place you can enter or exit the Ramble. Both very great places to do so. And with that, we are at our final picture for today. Everybody say on. But here we are with a nice view of that Midtown skyline at the very edge of the lake. So I would like to say that to thank you to all of us that support us at the Conservancy, and thank you for having a nice, cozy autumnal walk here, viewing some fall foliage. Hopefully, by the time you get out, sometime this week or next week, you're going to see a lot more of those iconic reds, greens, goldens, and browns, some of those fall foliage colors. But we do have something special coming up for tomorrow. So tomorrow, on Thursday, October 26th, if you have a family, if you live by the north end of the park, we are inviting you to come to the Charles A. Discovery Data Center from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., where we're having a nice Halloween celebration. There's going to be music, there's going to be a pumpkin flotilla, and there's going to be arts and crafts for the kids as well. It's going to be a very pleasant day, and it's going to be put on by yours truly. That's us at the Public Programs Department, who have been dedicated to giving you lots of different various programs and tour programmings this year. So there's going to be a link in the chat if you would like to see any one of us and you would like to enjoy some nice views of maybe some northern end fall foliage, and also enjoying a nice little event capped off with a pumpkin flotilla. So thank you all so much once again for supporting us here at the Central Park Conservancy. We always appreciate your support. I hope you enjoy your Halloween and the end of your spooky season. I would like all of you to stay safe and be well. Boo, bye-bye.